Yeah.
Hi, and welcome
All
to
right.
another episode of Industrial Amputation. I'm Joey Galvan, joined by Joe Average, Charles Levi. It's great to see you, Charles, your smiling
Great to
face.
see you.
Yeah.
You as
Yeah.
well, Joe. So this week we're
Hey,
having a
everybody.
brief interview. Well, we're having an interview with Daz Sharp from Spoils and Grace. We had a little technical difficulties, but all that's hammered out now, so everything's great. And Daz,
Yeah.
thank you so much for being here. So let's just jump
Welcome
right
aboard,
into
Absolutely.
it.
man.
We appreciate it.
How you doing?
Oh man,
I'm
we're
doing good,
excellent.
man.
Thanks for having
Excellent.
me.
Oh, of course. Of course, we love supporting artists. Des, you have a new release right now on Bandcamp called Suffering Long. Can you please tell us about it?
Suffer Long.
I'm sorry,
It's called
Suffer Long.
Suffer Long.
Suffer
Suffer
long.
Long. Uh, it was a title. It was a title that was inspired like over 10 years ago. I wanted to do something with, but never really had a opportunity to do it.
Mhm.
And then about 3 years ago, I started trying to figure out how to make an album that was, I had done an album before that, and then another one after that. And it was just basically trying to figure out music production, really basic shit. Like, I'm not a very tech savvy guy. I'm still not a very tech savvy guy. I come from punk. Anyhow, so those two first records was me trying to figure shit out. The first record, I don't even think I opened up an EQ on any of the tracks. I think I just like was really trying to play by ear, and you can hear it when you listen to the earlier shit. But this one, I wanted to make sure I was going to do it right, because an album is a lot of work. Well, it should be anyways, if it's going to be any good.
Yeah.
So I started writing it years ago, and the first song that I wrote for it was called Suffer Long, and that is actually on the record, but it never was used as the very first track. It was meant to be the first track. I got about 6 tracks in on this record, and then I decided it was just too feely. Like, it was too, didn't have any balls, or guts, it was kind of too smooth and mellow, and there was no dynamic to it, like no peaks, no valleys. It was just kind of, and that's not entirely a bad thing, but for what I wanted to do, I wanted to be, have some intense parts, heavy shit mixed in with some of the lighter stuff. And so I managed to do it.
You nailed it.
Good album.
Oh, thanks, man.
Yeah. You fucking nailed it, dude. Yeah, you
Well, I'm
did.
glad you like it. Yeah, it took collectively 3 years to make, and actually some of the pieces that are woven into that album, some of the parts, they've been around since like 4 years ago. I just managed to take some of the best parts of the best stuff that I thought personally was worth it, and managed to incorporate it into this record with a ton of new stuff. And then the last year was basically like trying to get features in from all the artists, trying to mix those in tastefully. And then it was just solid grinding, like non-stop in the studio.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty happy. I'm happy with it personally, and I mean, that's all I could really ask for, And if people like it, then that's fucking cool. If they don't, right on,
Yeah. No, I
Yeah.
did love the way it kind of bounced back and forth between really hard and more feely stuff. And I had said to you the other day that the final act, fucking A, that track is amazing, and it's followed by
Thanks.
Suffer Long, which
Yeah.
and it is such a fucking great transition from those two songs in particular. I really, really like the way it worked out on the track lineup.
Thanks, man.
It was cool, man.
It's supposed to offer a bit of relief, because the song "The Final Act" is kind of like the climax of the album.
It's
Not
fucking
only,
hard, dude. Yeah.
well, thanks, man. Not only musically, but in the concepts, right?
Mhm.
That's the part where, I want to say the character in question, it's like he's in his full-on powerhouse megalomaniac phase, and he's abusing his power and
Yeah.
abusing people and luring them in and manipulating them, and that's kind of like the climax of the record, right? The part of the God complex where he's right in it, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
It's a powerful track, and followed
Thank
by
you.
another equally powerful track. It's yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
is this going to see a physical release?
Yeah, actually, I got CDs. I mean, I would love to just see vinyl. I could do a cassette because then you could get an analog thing at least,
Ooh,
have
that'd
a
be
hard
cool.
copy, a little bit more of a collector's.
Mhm.
People go for
Yeah.
cassettes better than they do CDs. Nobody gives a shit about CDs. I mean, some people do. In fact, actually, in the industrial music scene, which isn't very big, I notice a lot of people still releasing and collecting CDs. So that's that's a plus, you know. So I can afford to press CDs, whereas opposed to vinyl would cost me my left leg or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
to press. Because it's an hour long, right? So you can't
Yeah.
just press it on one record. You got to do a double vinyl, and next thing you know,
Yeah.
you're in like $7,000 to $10,000 with the gatefold and all that shit. So I just do digipacks. Right now, the hard copy is getting held up because of a printing issue, something having to do with the artwork being not contrasty enough. They're telling me that some of the artwork's going to get swamped out and look completely black instead of actually be appearing on the album cover.
Oh, okay.
So I had to kind of assess that today. So it should be like another week or two at the most before I get those CDs, and then I can send everybody their copies and who was on the record and start actually advertising that I have them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for
Well,
now,
I'd
it's
look
up on.
forward to it. I still buy that format. I get that so that I can put them on my computer, and then I can put them on whatever shit I want because I don't do streaming, you know.
Yeah,
So
I do. I'm guilty of that. I use Spotify. I've got it on my phone, and I do put all my stuff up on Spotify.
yeah.
But the way that with a new release, a lot of the time it's like I put it up on Bandcamp for about 1 or 2 weeks,
Yeah.
and then I'll, you know, after a while, once it starts to slow down in the sales a bit, and then I'll just go fuck it, and I just put it up on the streaming, and then, you know, try to sell CDs. You really got to pound the pavement these days to sell CDs, though, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like selling glasses to a blind guy, right? Like nobody nobody has a fucking CD player. Nobody wants to buy the CDs unless you got to make it special, you know. Like I'd hate to be like that guy, you know, but like, oh, I'm gonna sign your CD for you because I'm so fucking great or whatever. People like it, I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, got to have something to preserve, right?
Fuck yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Charles,
So
you got a question?
No, it's like I just can't wait to get a copy of it, you know. But so I just want to know, man. I like to see you. I like to see you and do some shows, performances and stuff, and I like to add more to it, because
Of course.
I'm getting better. I was really hard when you first approached me. I was like, I was just overwhelmed because I'm not tech savvy. I'm a blue collar guy. I like to play my part and play it to the best of my ability. And when I can't do that, I get frustrated. And I don't mean to be frustrated to you or the artist, but it's just
Oh,
hard now. It's just
man,
hard.
I was just grateful to have a guy like you on the record and because to me, like, I'm a fan of your work, a huge fan of your work.
Thank
And
you.
I'm an artist in my own right and stuff like that, but I fucking grew up listening. I've listened to the Thrill Kill Cult stuff since I was a young teenager.
Yeah.
And I never ever, the first time I ever heard of the Thrill Kill Cult was like, because I'm 39 or I'll be 40 this year, so I'm much younger than the guys in the Thrill Kill Cult, obviously.
Yeah.
But my introduction to the Thrill Kill Cult was from The Crow. Like I remember I was watching The Crow when I was 12 years old and getting the soundtrack when I was 12 years old. That was my introduction to the Thrill Kill Cult. And after that, I got Crime for All Seasons and then started getting all the other shit after that. Before the internet, you couldn't get, you had to find the CDs or the record or whatever. Like, so, but I never ever thought in my life that I would ever work with people you know, like Frankie and
Okay.
you. Like I never
Yeah.
had a fucking. It would be in my wildest fucking dreams, and it still
Dreams.
is. Like it's not like, oh, now that's done. Oh well, that's
Yeah.
finished now. Like to me, I
Yeah.
still get. I'm like a kid in a candy store about that shit. I love it, man.
Oh
And
man,
I'm
thanks.
grateful that you played, and you played like it works perfectly with the track.
Yeah.
The vibe of the track. It's fucking a huge honor for me.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much, man. I'm getting a lot better now, you know, but man, you know, your drive inspires me, you know, very much so. It really does. I was I was just a guy trying to, you know, be part of some music, rock and roll. And Groovy was always my friend. He's the one I've known the longest, and we get along now. We get along really good, you know.
I love Frankie.
Yeah, yeah. Frankie's crazy. I love he makes me laugh when I say his name. He just always used to make me laugh.
He's
And
a
I love
beautiful
him.
human being.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. So I've been talking to them, and we're all a good place in our relationship. And we're praying for Mammy to get a little better, you know. She hopes she can make it through the rest of the tour. But man, it'd be cool if you would get on that tour. You could get up there, you know.
Well, I got, you know, fuck. I would be down in the States already, man. I got
Yeah,
a little bit of a border problem, you know. But it's
yeah,
nothing crazy. It can be sorted out. I went to go play a show in Seattle, and
yeah,
they, you know, we always went down there, and we were in a punk band, and we never told them
yeah,
we were going to play shows. Like, we never said, hey, we're going to go play a show, and we don't have a fucking visa. Like, we
Yeah.
just said, hey, we're going to go down to the States, go see a show, hang around and stuff. And they always said, oh, yeah, okay, cool, right on, go through. Well, the one
yeah,
time we went through, I remember we were coming up to the Peace Arch, going down into the States, the Peace Arch border, near coming out of Vancouver. And there was this fucking song on the radio playing, and it was a shitty fucking song, you know, and I just had this bad feeling. I think it was that Rick Astley song, something. But it was like some, you know, this is one of those fucking times where it's like something really bad is about to happen, and I can't tell what it is. But
yeah,
it happened. The guy, they pulled us in. He's like, "Are you in a band?" And so the whole thing was like, "Okay, stick with the story, stick with the fucking plan. The plan is no, we're not in a band. No, we're going to see this fucking rock and roll exhibit at this museum. Stay with some
yeah,
friends, and then we're coming back." But they didn't fucking buy it, and they split us up, and they interrogated us. And then what I didn't know was that the other guys in the band had given up the whole fucking thing like 5 minutes into the investigation, but I fucking was in the room, and I just lied and
man.
lied and lied and lied, and I fucking must have lied. They kept me in there for like must have been 4 hours or 5 hours or some
Jesus.
shit.
yeah.
It was terrible.
Oh
But
my
anyway,
God, man.
and so I don't have a criminal record, which is actually a big fucking surprise at this point. Because when I was younger, I used to be a fucking
Yeah.
animal. But like
Yeah.
now, so now I have to pay this waiver fee form and the immigration lawyer fee form to get the waiver. I have to carry it on me if I go to the States, and it only lasts for like 5 years or something. Then you got to renew it, and that's like, I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I got to do to get down there. Otherwise, I would already be down there. I would fucking go to LA, or I'd go to Chicago, or I'd go down to Texas and meet everybody. I'd go to Cold Waves and do all this shit. But instead,
Yeah.
I'm stuck here in fucking Canada, and there's nothing here. Nobody gives a fuck about Canada. Nobody comes here. I mean, that's a lie. I'm kind of just, I got a chip on my shoulder. This place fucking sucks.
Shit.
Oh man.
So you like feature 18 different artists on this release. Does that
18, yeah.
Does that many artists, do you find that like fosters creativity, or does that complicate things? How does that work?
Well, man, it's all just a big hurrah, you know. You start a song, like I had an idea, I wanted to make an album, but it didn't all come together. Like I said, like 3 years ago, some of this shit was written, and just some of it, the skeletons of the songs without the lyrics were there, and they didn't have a place. Like, it was like the way the song worked, it couldn't be a single, and it didn't fit anywhere in on an album yet until finally the last big push over the last year where the bulk of the songs were constructed and written and really honed in on in the production process. So it's all from the ground up. You do, I'll program some drums, or I'll fuck around with some sampling loops and make some weird textures. And then eventually the song starts to take shape. And when I have a bit of a framework and I feel like, okay, this could be good for an artist to work with, and then I reach out and I say, hey, would you like to be a part of this? Or and most people are into it. Some people say no. Some people, they don't even respond, but they see the message. Of course, that's humiliating. I'm like, who the fuck wants to work with me? I'm just a hole in the wall. Nobody gives a fuck. But anyways, I'm like, a lot of people said yes, and then I would just send them the track, and they would just record bulk over top of it and send me a bunch of stems. And then I would get the stems and I'd be like, yeah. And then I just fucking work them all in, right? Like, and put them in the places where they were, or where they belonged. And then eventually just kept producing it and adding to it and rearranging it. And then it's really just like, it's such a shit mix of everything, right? Like, there's no real, I don't have my sight set on like, oh, this song's going to be this, or this song's going to sound like this, or it just kind of forms itself, which is the best part about making art. It's the art kind of makes itself, right?
Yeah. Kind of stream of consciousness, a little bit of fate. Yeah. No, I fucking dig it, dude.
That's cool.
Yeah, man.
Well, it's like a wonderful album. It's like an adrenaline shot meshed with beautiful harmony, is the way I would describe it. How would you differentiate this sound recording from the other releases from the band?
Okay, well, the other releases from the band it's just me. Like, I for now, I mean, it's just me. The first release was me, and it was COVID, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this yet, but there was a small period in between doing extreme, fucking satanic metal underground shit, punk, and then industrial. In between that was hip hop. I actually did hip hop because I love hip hop. Yeah. I fucking love Biggie. I love Tribe Called Quest. I love all the New York sounds of the jazz, and I love G-Funk, right? Dr. Dre, The Chronic, the Red Person. That shit's like that. Those are concept albums in themselves, right? Like, so I was obsessed with hip hop. I did hip hop for a while, so that was when I started working with actual producers. Before, it was like we would jam as a band and we'd go into a studio, maybe, or record it ourselves, and that was a different process. But this was like I started working with producers, and I did have to go to their house so that they could help me make the beats, and I would sit there and kind of be like, hey, can you try this? Hey, can we try this? And they would be manning the ship, and they would have all the computers and the fucking whatever else, drum machine, and they would know how to work the programs, right? I had no fucking idea. I was just kind of like, and now I know what it was like working with somebody sitting beside you saying like, hey, this kind of sounds like this. Can you make it sound like this? I'm just like, fuck. Like, but COVID happened and nobody would let me into their house. Yeah. So there was a small period of time where I had nothing going on and there was nothing happening. And then this one day I almost burnt my house down because I'm a fucking idiot, but I fucking freaked out. And then I was like, okay, something's got to give. I went and I spent some money on a laptop, which is still the same fucking laptop I'm using now. It's a piece of shit. it's like, and that fucking album was made on all my stuff is made on an 8 gig HP laptop with a broken battery. Like, I am not a tech savvy guy. Everyone's like, oh, I use Ableton. And I'm like, oh, don't laugh at me. I use like fucking whatever, it's just a tool, right? But it works and it seems to work fine. Man. Because, and you know what I found out is like on an 8 gig RAM laptop from London Drugs, you can't fucking make a crazy industrial album where there's like 82 fucking instruments per song. But the fucking thing that made it work and is why it's always worked, which somebody told me recently, is because I don't use MIDI. That album is done without MIDI. Yeah. I did that entire record I don't even have a fucking computer mouse. I use my fingers on that little pad. This is like this. Like, I did, like, I've never fucking used a computer mouse once doing any of the songs that I've ever done. So anyways, now I'm kind of going off topic here. I got ADHD, right? So I'm just like, that's why I want to sit in my truck so I can smoke and talk.
Yeah.
That's
Because,
perfect.
you know,
Yeah.
it just makes
Yeah,
life
that's
is so much easier when you can just have a fucking smoke and talk about it, you know?
There you
Yeah.
go.
Anyways, back to it. The first record was just me figuring it out. I wrote it and recorded it in 3 weeks and sent it to get mastered. And so the whole thing probably took about a month and a week to press on a CD and get out and produce. But that was because I didn't even use a compressor or an EQ on anything. It was just like, and you can tell when you hear it, right? It's got a specific sound to it. And if you throw it on from beginning to end, you can get into it. The songs are way too long, which is like an amateur thing that's quite common. And then the second record was called A Ghost in the Labyrinth. It was supposed to be a concept album. Well, it is a concept album, but then I didn't even get it mastered by this other guy. I actually tried to do it myself, and it was a big mistake. Like, it just, I can hear the songs in there. They're in there. The idea is there. The story is there, but it sounds like it's fucking unlistenable, right? And anyways, so I had to just stop trying to make an album and just do singles, and then it was just single after single, and I did 22 singles in 21 weeks, nonstop, once a week. And that was how I kind of just, it was a crash course, right? And I'm still learning. I don't know shit about any of this stuff, really.
Same here.
Works for me. Yeah.
Same here.
Yeah. There's no school behind what I do.
Same here.
I'm getting a little better, but man, same fucking here.
So the name Spoils of Grace, does that have any special significance to you?
It does. Well, so grace is what God, or so the idea of like God gave man the gift of life, and he gave him the earth, and he didn't do it because he was God. He did it simply because he loved them. He bestowed. So this is what grace means, right? It's like God has bestowed this conscious life with all these gifts and this abundance, and it's all right here for every, so spoils is like spoils of war, spoils of victory, where after the battle's been won and the destruction has happened, or everything's come crashing down, then the victor of the battle comes and plunders and loots and, desecrates whatever the fuck is left, right?
Yeah.
So the whole idea with spoils of grace is like, grace is what God bestowed upon man simply because he loved him, and spoils is how man has plundered and looted and fucking desecrated that grace.
Wow.
Yeah.
So
That's beautiful.
that's kind of the idea. Also, it wasn't taken, so fuck.
That's
It's hard
that
to
does
find a name
matter
that
sometimes. Yeah.
you can, yeah.
Man.
Wow.
So
I
did you get to play like a tour in Mexico, or did that happen? Is that true?
Yeah, I actually do vocals in a crust DB punk hardcore band called Voltage, and we went down, and that was our first tour we ever went on. Like, we spent the last year and a half probably like playing a ton of local shows more around in our area, because we live in a small like dump fucking town in BC in Canada called Kamloops, right?
Okay.
Fuck. So Kamloops, it's like has one bar you can play, and there was one theater over on the north shore of town where you had to rent it, and it was okay for some all ages gigs, but we just played the shit out of it, right? And then finally we're like, hey, all we do is play this bar, and we're like, people are digging our demo, and it got repressed like 6 times in 1 year, so it was like, must be doing something right, we thought. And then so we're like, it was like, I had a connection down in Vancouver that had a connection down in Mexico, and I was like, fuck, we should go get the fuck out of here. Let's go on tour. Let's go do something bigger than this fucking town or this bar, Yeah. So I got a hold of this guy, and a year prior to us leaving, it was like I started talking to him, and then I connected him with David, our guitar player, who, see, David and I are like the toxic twins, and we've always been, we've been on tours together back when I used to use, I've been sober almost like going on 6.5 years now.
Congratulations.
We used to be fucking maniacs. I love him to death, right? We butt heads like brothers do, you know, but it's like, he's really good at organizing and compartmentalizing and finances and booking things and stuff. I'm kind of good at like getting in there and like, you know,
getting it going. Yeah,
getting it going, rallying the troops and like making the connections and like stuff like that. But so together, when we work together, it's like, and this band is really great, right? All like the fucking most solid guys ever, right? So we ended up going to Mexico and we played 8 shows, and it was over 2.5 weeks. And it was the fucking most ultimate time I've ever had in my life, man. It was right, like I hated Canada before I left, right? And then I went, and then by the time I got back, I hated it even more. It's just like everyone's like trying to convince themselves that shit's actually happening here and all this stuff, but it's like when you go down to Mexico, all you need to do is walk down one street and it's got 10 times more than any of this shit will ever have, right? Like, I mean, like I said, I got a chip on my shoulder because I can't leave the damn place, but whatever. It was fucking and the people are insane. The people are so fucking like appreciative that you were there to play. It's not like here. Like if a band came up here from Mexico to play here, people would be like, "Oh, right on, cool, you're from Mexico." But like nobody would really give a fuck. You know, down there, it's like you go down there and people are like, they come to your fucking shows and they're so fucking appreciative of like, you know, they'll support you, buy your merch and shit. Like, it was fucking unreal, man. And our tour manager down there, Caesar, he is the fucking best, man. Such a good dude. Yeah, he drove us the whole time. We broke down in the mountains and like we were going to Mazatlan and we were driving in this fucking, I think it was a Volkswagen or something. And the van breaks down in the middle of the fucking mountains outside Mazatlan. And we're like, oh, fuck. Like, and we like, look, there's like a taco stand. And this is like real Mexico shit. Like, this isn't like, oh, there's a tourist resort over there. It's like, no, we're in the fucking beautiful mountains of Mexico looking over this gorgeous valley. And then there's like a taco stand at the side of the road with like a shanty bathroom and a fucking donkey tied to a post with a bunch of chickens walking around. Like,
nice.
And we're like, oh fuck. So they sent a flatbed to pick us up. They picked up the van, but we couldn't sit in the flatbed. There was too many of us. So they sent a fucking ambulance. And we like got in the ambulance. We got in the fucking ambulance and they gave us a ride all the way to Mazatlan or whatever in this ambulance. And like let us listen to tunes. And they were like, hey, what do you want to listen to? You want to listen to fucking, and we're like, oh yeah. So we like, I made them put on our demo because I'm just a dick. But just because it was on the bucket list, right? It was like we're gonna fucking listen to our fucking demo in a goddamn ambulance in Mexico, you know? Yeah, that shit's fucking cool. It was amazing. Yeah. Man, then we bused, and then we took buses the whole time, and the buses were better than the van. Like the buses were down there, fucking unreal. It was like a nice recliner chair with like fucking wicked thing. It was amazing. Yeah.
Wow, that sounds like a damn good time.
Yeah, it does.
It was, man.
When I went down to Mexico, it was cool. I liked everything except the American troops. American troops. The American troops were like, fuck these. I couldn't stand. I want to beat the shit out of any military guy. But Mexico,
they were down there?
Yeah. They were down there. And it was summertime too. So they thought they were just walking around, blah, blah, blah. And I want to knock the fuck out of a military guy representing America, especially if they're drunk too. So like I was like, man, all these most of the Mexican people should just line them up and just shoot the fuck out. That's all.
Well, there was like, you know, how when you're driving down the highway, you have to stay like, you know, there's most of the highways are patrolled, right? And it's like you see 2 armored fucking military vehicles, and there's tons of military police in the back with machine guns, and then there's like a big, huge 50 cal gun on the top with a guy manning the gun. and they're just driving right beside you. It's fucking nuts. Because if you go off of those patrolled highways, that's when the crazy shit can happen, you know, like you get fucking. Who knows? I don't know. What do I know? I mean, I was in a van the whole time mostly, but it was fucking unreal. Yeah, Mexico
probably,
is the best.
If it goes off to the side, you probably find a find a good time and just stay up in there. So, man, we're not the beaten path, and we're having a damn good time. Fuck it, you know.
Well, until and then next thing you know, you're like, end up in some tunnel or some fucking thing. Like, you never know.
That'll be fucked up. I know. Be part of the cartel. Yeah. Well,
Daz, what are some of the artists that inspired you to want to create music?
Fuck, man. I mean, there's so many. I mean, where do I start, right? Like, when I was a kid, my introduction to stuff was like, as I say, I'm younger, so don't laugh at me. But I was like, I remember when I was really, really young, my brother, he was the one that turned me on to music. So he'd come over. He had long hair with a fucking, a big high undercut. And my dad used to be, he was like, always wanted him to cut his hair and shit like that. And he was like, he was kind of the cool guy. He had ripped jeans and a fucking trench coat. And I thought he was the coolest person ever. And he was, and he used to come over and babysit me, and he would like bring his tapes. And the first thing that was ever in my mind or memorable of any of this shit is the Suicidal Tendencies. He was listening to the album Join the Army by Suicidal Tendencies. And I remembered that song, Join the Army, above all other shit first when I heard it, because it had the marching beat. I think that's why I liked it. It had the marching beat at the beginning,
cool song.
And a cool, it's a fucking great song. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was where it started. And then when I got a little bit older, I wanted so desperately to get, I remember I'll get my hands on a Nirvana tape. I remember that was like all I wanted was a Nirvana tape. And my parents and my grandparents wouldn't let me have any of that shit. They're like, oh no, it's going to make you commit suicide or all this bullshit, So I remember like, I just wanted to get some of that shit so bad. But then when I finally got old enough, my Uncle Victor bought me a Marilyn Manson tape, the Antichrist Superstar. When that first came out, it was like it just came out. And I remember seeing the music video for The Beautiful People. I think I was probably 10 or 11 years old. And I was going to Catholic school. They sent me to Catholic school because they were like, oh, it'll help him learn more things, So they sent me there. And as soon as I discovered Marilyn Manson and White Zombie and shit like that, and Nine Inch Nails came right after, and then Skinny Puppy right after, and Pantera and like all this metal shit like Fear Factory and stuff like that, and Slayer and Death and fucking Cannibal Corpse and all that. I started getting my hands on all these fucking CDs and tapes and one thing led to another. But industrial music has always been my home because it was not only, listening to Nine Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson got me to the Skinny Puppy point where I had Cleanseful to Manipulate was my first record. And then, of course, Psalm 69 by Ministry was an easy one to get a hold of. Filth Pig by Ministry, because, Filth Pig in the 90s, nobody gave a fuck about it. Like, you could go to a used CD store and they would have like 20 copies of Filth Pig. And so it was really easy to access that album. And it turned out to be one of my favorite records, And then, as I say, Thrill Kill Combo. Yeah, and it all just kind of adds up. And industrial music opened me up to David Lynch, and industrial music opened me up to just a million different vibes. Industrial falls under the umbrella of like a million things. Like it could be hardcore, it can be noisy, abstract, it can be mellow, or it could be super structured and quantized, or it can be punk, or it could be, it just kind of seems to me like if you were to put a label on something and call it industrial, it's like a huge umbrella of diversity, right? Which is why I guess, I consider it to be home for me in a lot of ways, a starting point, right? Yeah.
No, that's fucking awesome, dude. I mean, you made it sound like you were going to be, whipping out like in sync or something.
Yeah, right.
You know,
Yeah,
like,
that's my favorite
I'm like,
shit.
no,
You
these
know,
are some fucking badass bands to be fucking starting out on, dude. So that's awesome, man.
I've always been drawn to alternative culture. I've always been drawn to like tattoos and shit. You know, I was trying to get my mom to draw them on me when I was a kid, and she was like, "No, I'm not drawing them on you." You know, and it's just like, look at me now. How do you like me now?
Dude, I love the one you got on your face. That is fucking awesome.
Oh,
What?
this shit. Yeah,
Yeah,
I
yeah.
it's kind of like I remember I kind of was like I had reached my point here. You know, I felt a little bit maybe on the manic side, and I was like, you know, I'm just gonna go in and I'm just gonna fuck shit up, you know. And I just got him to do. He's like, you want me to do what? And I was like, yeah, just let me draw it on,
That
and then
is
you
one
do
of the
it.
most fucking incredible pieces I have ever seen. I mean,
Well,
it's
it's getting
absolutely,
bigger. I'm going in. I'm gonna go in and fucking just do it. If I could tattoo,
yeah,
if I had enough money, if I had enough money,
yeah,
I would
no
tattoo
shit,
my.
right?
I would just tattoo. I would tattoo my eyeball black and then make it look like there was this big symbiote thing growing off my face and shit.
Oh, fucking
I
right
love
on.
that shit. My grandma's rolling in her fucking grave right now,
Oh
which is like,
man,
sorry, grandma.
you beat your ass.
Yeah.
when I go to hell, I'm gonna go. She's gonna be there waiting.
You're gonna be there waiting with both hands ready to slap the shit out
Yeah,
of
I'm gonna get a
Oh,
fucking whipping.
you.
yeah, you'll get a whipping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Hey, can you tell it? No. Sorry. I was going to ask you something you already answered. That doesn't work. I think I've run out.
So let me ask you.
Max, do you have anything else you might want to share with us?
New Voltage stuff's coming soon. I've already got some ideas. I'm getting some ideas about what I want to do for the next Spoils of Grace. I think I'll probably do an EP.
Right on.
Mhm.
And I don't know if I'll get any features on it because, you know what, I think I might just want to take this one myself, you know, and huddle away, fucking, you know.
I'll do
have
what I
some-
can, you know. You
Yeah.
can ask me anytime, bro.
Awesome,
Anytime.
dude. Well,
Absolutely.
I might hit you up. I'll have to hit you up then. Well, you got your setup anyways now, right?
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
No, it just makes it gives me something to do. It adds to my existence, you know.
Yeah.
I want to stay relevant.
Well,
You
you
know.
are relevant, man.
Yeah.
Music is immortal. You're in the music.
Yeah.
You are the music,
Yeah.
and your music lives on, right? And I don't
Yeah.
know. As for if I was to say anything to everybody out there, because you know, there's all this nowadays. It's so fucking crazy being a musician because you really got to get out there and, like I say, pound the pavement and get out there and fucking tour.
Yeah.
Sell merch and stuff like that. If you want to make a living, it's really difficult unless you're teaching music or you're actually producing for people, which is sometimes that's not the funnest thing ever. But you know,
Yeah.
but if you're an
Sure.
artist, don't get try not to get discouraged with all of that. You know, like there's so much
Yeah.
different shit coming out online, and so many people, and it takes fucking so much work and attention to social media and all of that stuff and networking to get people to pay attention even for a little bit to your stuff. Just keep doing it, you know, because that's just what you do. You gotta fucking keep going on, right?
Yeah.
Survival.
Yeah, absolutely. Right on, dude.
So he's gonna say, Joy?
I was just gonna ask you because I came from like a Catholic school background as well until second grade when I just like begged them to pull me out of there, and they got me out and put me in public school, and then I still do you feel like going to Catholic school like fostered this element of rebellion in you that just caused you to just kind of like fight against something? Because that's what
I
happened to
love
me.
this topic.
Yeah.
Because that's
This
what
is
happened to
the
me, and that's
topic
why I
because-
just fought against it and the way I am is because I was indoctrinated at in such an early age.
Man,
Southern Baptist for
Catholic
me.
school,
Yeah.
they thought the Catholic school was going to give me the discipline that I needed to succeed in this fucking stupid world.
Yeah, same.
And when they sent me there, it didn't give me discipline. It just fueled the fucking fire. They were like, no, you can't wear this. No, you can't do this. Wear this uniform. You have to fucking come to mass and pray to God and study this religion. And no, you can't draw that. If you do anything, you have to use color. You can't use all black. You fucking blah, 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 blah. and that was just like, it's just made me push against those pricks, you know, like even
Yeah.
more. And to this day, to this day, it still affects me. Like, I mean, like all these, the main premise of behind, like the main concept that fuels Suffer Long as an album is religion.
Mhm.
You know, it's like the inception at a young age of pray this, do that, do this, do that, you know,
Yeah.
and then into like resentment and questioning and confusion and then like, you know, violence and fucking, and then all of a sudden like desperation and all the, you know, searching for the answer. And that's like that's like the backbone of the album, is that concept. And it's fueled by probably Catholic school.
Yeah.
Definitely
Believe me.
inspiring.
Funny how that
Yeah.
back then experience still was relevant to today, because it's still, I don't know. I was talking to my mom last night. They took me and they put me in remedial English classes. And then they never told her. But then, like, I go to public school and then the teacher's like, no, he's gifted. He's a gifted writer. And they put me in advanced classes, and I now have a Bachelor of Science in Journalism. So it's like
Yeah.
they see someone who has this way of doing something and they're like, no, we got to beat you down and put you into this box because that's not how things are done, you know?
Mm.
So I still have that chip on my shoulder I can't get rid of.
Yeah.
Oh, me too, man. And fuck that shit. Like,
Yeah.
till the day I die, I am gonna be waving my middle finger to that shit. I can't
Mm.
stand it, right?
Yeah.
But it's definitely been the most inspiring thing.
Yeah, Danny. Huh.
It's weird,
So-
that paradox, isn't it?
Well,
It's the
Oh.
best.
Yeah.
Man.
Joe, do you have anything else, or Levi?
Well,
No, I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm just glad to see Daz.
yeah.
He looks
No,
so
I was
cool.
Yeah,
I was
dude.
actually meaning to ask, but you've already got this one too, about advice for, you know, young artists.
Just
Keep
do it
going.
for you. Do it for you.
Yeah.
Don't fucking
Yeah.
worry about what anyone else is doing or what anybody says or any of that shit. Just get into
Yeah.
what you want to do and be honest in your creative, you know, realm with how you want to fucking express yourself. Don't worry about
Yeah.
how many people, don't worry about how many likes you get on Facebook or who says your album sounds like this or isn't good or whatever. Just do it for you. Do it because that's what you do. Don't
Yeah.
do it because, you know, other people expect.
Yeah.
Just do it for you. It's you.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And Levi, you better
Exactly.
say hi to Danny for me, please.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Danny, she's up now. Danny, come here. Bring it on. Yeah. Come on, Danny. Come on. Come on. Come here.
Danny.
Come here.
Danny.
Come on, Danny.
Come here.
Hi,
come here,
Danny.
Come here. Come here.
She's
We
like,
love you,
no.
Danny.
Soon. I promise
Come
you
here.
soon. Soon. I will get the courage to
Okay. We love you.
I love all of you, and Daz, it's so great to hear from you.
Oh,
Hi.
Daz
Okay.
helped Levi so very much. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck. My pleasure.
No problem. Definitely. I'm gonna talk to Frankie. I'm gonna tell him I talked to you, you know, and stuff.
Tell him I say hi and tell him I love him.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
The action
definitely.
man. Tell him the action man says hello.
Oh,
Okay.
dude, awesome. Daz, it's
Yeah.
been an absolute pleasure talking to you, man.
You too.
Yeah.
Fucking
I've been,
A. I'm glad it.
Thank you so much, Daz.
we gotta
Yeah,
keep in touch.
Yeah.
I've
Thank you
got
so much.
I've got more questions or technical
Get the-
questions about
Get
some
the
of the stuff on the
releases out
album.
to
So
us. Yeah.
I want to reach out.
Anytime.
Excellent.
Joe, you want to
That's
sign us
cool.
off?
All right. Well, this episode, as all episodes, are dedicated to the memory of our friend Jason Lupo. If you're hurting, let somebody know. Don't suffer in silence. Artists support artists. Expect the unexpected. You guys have a wonderful evening.
Expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected.